Welcome back to the show. And a very interesting topic we had with Brother Charlie Peterson earlier about fatherlessness. Now, I think we really need to pay some attention to that and see how we can pan it out in each community to change those quality of lives. And talking about a quality of life, how do we change our lives for the better? Now, the question I'd like to ask you is, what do life coaches really do? Why do we need them? And how can you go about choosing the right one? I'm going to be introducing to you a really phenomenal gentleman who I think is going to give you a better insight into why you need that. Is Yuven Gouden. He has 15 years of experience in copy editing and communication and 21 years experience as an educator, a BTech communication degree with special knowledge of media strategy, stakeholder mapping, and a suite of communication interventions. But I think what's important is his LPs, life coaching programs that he goes out there and gives and teaches us how to live those better quality of lives that I always speak about. So, a very good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for joining us on the Nafisa Dango Show.
Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to your listeners.
It's such a pleasure having somebody that we could, should we say, turn to as a support structure. And I think that's what it's about. I think many a times, but first I need you to pen out your journey for me. What got you into this? What made you realize that, people like yourselves need to go out there and be the support structures for people like ourselves that face challenges every single day?
Yes, look, I started off as a teacher, taught English for most of my career as a teacher. So you become a natural coach in that way because you're mentoring your students, you are helping them, you're supporting them, you see them grow and develop. So that I think set this off. And then as a teacher of English, I moved into copy editing. I did that
Mm-hmm.
for about a year or just over a year. And then I was put into the role of communication and public relations
Mm,
by I worked at the Water Research Commission then. So I cut my teeth in communication as a science communicator in dealing with water issues. And I worked in various sectors: agriculture, education, finance. I worked with the Tutuka program. That's another impetus for me. The Tutuka program is run by SAICA, the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants, and they have a youth development program.
mm-hmm.
And I worked in the Tutuka program, which is a world renowned program endorsed by the World Economic Forum, dealing with youth development. So when I moved to life coaching, I started to focus on youth development, especially. Although I do all sorts of coaching, and that's the basically the journey.
Very interesting one. I'll tell you why, because I just spoke to Charlie Peterson earlier, who, is running a workshop and wrote a book about fatherlessness. And we spoke about youth development and how important it is and the types of self-esteem and different challenges that they face. So it's so interesting to see that there's a correlation here where you could create a so-called collaboration with each other to be able to help those youth in those areas facing those types of challenges. But from your point of view, what would you say is the most important aspect of this particular situation? Because many a times I think, and as I said this to Brother Charlie Peterson earlier, is many a times when people are facing challenges and you ask them to speak to a life coach, suddenly they look at it in the wrong way and say, why should I? What is he going to do for me? So I think we need to bring, I think, and I'm laughing because I'm saying that. I mean, I've tried it with so many people, and they say, but I'm speaking to you about my issue. And I said, yes, I'm there as an ear and, a person to listen to your situation, but I'm not a life coach to be able to direct you and give you the right form of advice to be able to understand your challenge and how to face it head on.
Yeah. Just to put it into perspective, life coaching is about goal setting. It's about attaining your full potential and looking at obstacles that may hinder you on your journey. And then we have transformation life coaching, which is a radical change. This involves taking stock of your life. You normally reach what we call a crossroads, and that's when you want to do complete overhaul, almost like declutter your life. because sometimes there's too much of clutter, and most of the youngsters we deal with, there's too much of time spent on screens, screen time, too much of time spent on social media, on their cell phones, and very little time on their goals and what they want to achieve in life. So a transformational life coach wants to help you maximize your potential. Okay, and it's a radical growth and change that needs to happen if you want to realize your potential. And you always benchmark it against successful people. I always use the example of Trevor Noah, and I said, look, if you read Trevor Noah's, it's amazing, how he got there. But it was determination, it was the goals he set that sets him apart from the others. So, in order for you to be out of the ordinary, and it's achievable, it's attainable. He didn't do something extraordinary. He just was very focused. So it's about getting that focus in. And you start with setting your goals, looking at your values, looking at items that you need to change in your life, exploring various avenues, and how you balance your academic life with your social life and create that kind of balance. Looking at your values, looking at your entire makeup, and see how you can do that. Now, a transformational life coach does not he's not like a mentor. He does not tell you this is what you need to do. He guides you along. So I'm supposed to guide you along, and it's got to come from within. So we give you the tools to help you change, to help you re-engineer your life, as it were, and achieve your true potential, your maximum potential. And that's ultimately what we want to achieve.
All right, I agree with you. We're just going to go for a quick break and we'll be back with you in a second.
Sure.
My own home to soothe sniffles and coughs, to help with digestion and immunity, and of course, as part of my beauty routine. After all these years, I've come to appreciate the wisdom in finding comfort and shifa in trusted treatments like Tib Black Seed. You can find Tib Black Seed at all leading pharmacies or find out more at blackseed.co.za.
Kids these days are smart, and when you're competing for their attention against their smartphones, you need to make smart choices, like using Sunfoil triple refined pure sunflower oil in every meal you make. It's naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether you're cooking, frying, or baking, you get the great tasting results that'll get their attention faster than the latest app. And if that doesn't work, change the Wi-Fi password. Sunfoil. Now we're cooking.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042-203-1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
At Sentio, our Invest for Good
Look at
philosophy
them. Okay,
is
how's
based
it?
on
Good
real
to see you.
desire
Let's
to
go.
use our investment skills for the benefit of broader society. We are committed to supporting our community by investing responsibly, giving charitably, and developing talent that will transform the investment industry. As an ethically based asset manager, we are focused on delivering superior risk-adjusted returns for our clients, regardless of market conditions. Visit us at www.sentio-capital.com for more information on our Sharia investment products and start saving with us today. Sentio Capital Management. Invest for good. Sentio Capital Management is an authorized financial services provider.
The Syrian crisis has raged for over 4,000 days. 4,000 days of suffering, displacement, hunger, and intolerable insecurity. With your help, Islamic Relief can continue to stand alongside them. Never has your support been so important. Together, we can stand with the Syrian people. We can help them build a better future. Will you continue to stand with the people of Syria? Please, donate now.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
Welcome back to the Mid Morning Show with myself, Nafisa Dangle, and we're talking about transformational life coaching and what it can do. I'm penning more on youth development, which I think is absolutely important. Even before we left, we said that we were penning out the journey about youth and how to direct them. Earlier on, we said it's Youth Month. And not a better time to discuss this particular situation than now. Many instances, you find that youth are in a situation where they have absolutely no direction of where they're heading to because they could possibly be fatherless, as Charlie spoke earlier, or in a situation where they're orphaned, or also maybe both parents are working and there isn't enough time for that sense of communication. How would you say that we and you yourself, as a youth development coach, can give them advice to say, these are the types of tips we can give you? And if you find that you're in a situation where you really need help, then coming out to you is nothing taboo. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I think society themselves have created this little bubble where, if you approach maybe a psychologist or a life coach or something, the first thing that comes in your head is, oh, something is wrong. But each one of us do err, we do go through challenges, and it's about how we can face it head on to be able to find those necessary solutions in order to give us a better quality of life and, of course, a better space.
Yes, I think the key thing for them to do, I always start with a goal setting exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I want them to set goals based on what they want to achieve. So I give them what we call a life vision exercise. I ask them what do they want to do. I ask them to paint for me an ideal typical day, and that would be repeated, as an ideal day for them. In other words, where they want to live, what kind of house they live in, what car they drive, what kind of job they do, what do they do, what do they have for
Mm.
breakfast, what do they have for lunch. So we,
Mm.
we have that, and then the next question is, what have you done so far to get there, or how do you plan to get there? And that's when it comes to goal setting, because the goal setting is your beacon. That's the item that
Mm.
gives you your direction in life. So you set your goals, and you see how you're going to get to that plan of yours. How you going to get there? And a key thing is time management, and our youth need uh, a big lesson in time management. So I give them a little exercise where they put down Monday to Friday how much
Mm-hmm.
of time they allocate to various activities. I list the activities, and then what I do is I take the same the same kind of grid, and I ask them to do the same thing for the weekends, the public holidays or Saturday and Sunday. And when you look at that, that's an eye opener for them, because then they realize,
Mm.
look, I've spent so much of time, and one of the things I put there is how much of time do you spend on your phone or your laptop,
Mm.
your screen
Mm.
time, and that is, and I ask them how not lucrative, but how good is that time? Is it good screen time, or is it just like a gossip session, or what is it? And
Mm.
they plot that for me, and then I tell them that, look, once this time is over, then it's over. You can't get it back.
Mm. Mm.
and
That's true.
and that's when they come to realize, look, I need to change. So this radical makeover starts coming into place. And then and then we say, look, when you do this is how you're going to change your life. This is how you're going to get to that dream. This is how you're going to bring out your hidden talent. Put your fears behind you.
Mm.
Because we live in an era where we do everything on a screen. Face-to-face communication can become a problem sometimes. So when
That's
it comes
true.
to delivering a speech in the classroom, and it happens not only to youngsters, it happens to people in executive positions who are afraid of going in front of an audience, even if it's on a virtual platform, doing a presentation, for instance. They
Mm.
have the knowledge, they have all the know-how, but they are terrified of an audience. And that is something that's a skill. It's putting your fears behind you so that you are confident and you project yourself in a confident manner. And that can sometimes be the make it or break it kind of situation. And one key thing youngsters will learn is they're going for interviews, and if you don't
Mm.
do that properly, then your chances of achieving success would be very limited. So
Mm.
that's another thing that learners have difficulty with, because we do the mock kind of, I'm the interviewer, and the learner becomes the interviewee, and we assess how they did in that mock interview, and it's shocking. The kind of communication skills, the kind of social skills that they have, because they're so used to screen time and so used to using language that is uh, geared towards WhatsApp, and the
Mm.
PTW, by the way, and so on.
Mm. Mm.
It becomes a problem area.
Mm. I think it's a very interesting point that you brought up, because I noticed that with many a youth, if you walk into any environment, that's the first thing they go to. So, would you say that a way to sort it out is also taking them into the outdoors to be able to communicate with each other? Because once you're out of that technological space, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that space, but we of course have to create that balance in our lives. And in order to do that, to be able to have better communication, is of course getting out of all that technology, taking the phone away from them and saying, I've seen many mothers do that, because mine's 26, so I can't teach him that. He's quite good at what he does. But you can take that phone away and say, well, now this is communication time. And I think it starts at home, where we as parents need to understand that the communication gap and the self esteem and the confidence comes from us ourselves as parents, by having that certain kind of conversations with our kids and making them understand how the importance of communication and how we can pen that communication out.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the traditional way of having dinner and lunch and so on, where the entire family sits around the table and talks and discusses without touching their phones. Some families do that, where they don't allow phones at their dinner tables, which is a good practice. But these days, most people are, they just so fragmented. Each one does his own thing. The parents are busy. The youngsters are busy doing in their own spaces, and the communication element is sadly lacking. Whereas,
Mm,
if that were the case, it would help a lot. The same with even in things like the school ground. You'll find that they're
mm,
more on their phones than talking to each other, really talking to each other.
mm.
So technology is good. Yes, it's good. It's knowledge at your fingertips. That's a good thing. We cannot deny that. But there needs to be the human element. There needs to be that
Exactly.
communication amongst people, amongst peers, where you actually physically talk to each other, and that is sadly lacking these days.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I mean, it's about, many times many parents are guilty of this, where you're sitting on your phone and your child's talking, but you're hearing, but not listening. And I think that's where the difference comes in, is from a life coaching point of view as well, is people like yourselves don't hear. You listen. And when you listen is when you understand the situation. And when you get that, that's when you can pen out the necessary solution. So, what we're saying to our viewers and our parents out there, it's time we put the little technology down. We have enough time for it, and create that little time where we sit down with our kids or a life coach and do the listening version, because the listening version is going to change that narrative of that particular person in many directions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Parents need to take a stand in this. They need to lead and lead by example. I think that's an important part.
Most definitely. What words would you like to leave us with today? I think you've been a very inspirational person for us because I think I'm hoping that this particular segment has got parents and youth thinking in many directions to say that I can reach out firstly to a life coach that can listen to me and direct me and help me through certain challenges. And I can also then pin this out to my parents to go to a life coach and say, this is how they can deal with their own issues, but this is how they can also help me deal with my issues.
Yes. I would advise youngsters to do what we call a roadmap. Set out your goals, set out the time you are spending at the moment, how much of time you're spending on each of your various activities, try to categorize them, and
Mm.
then look at actionable plans. What kind of plans you can put in place to reach those goals? So, if you can do that, that's a start. So, you can start there.
Yes, I so agree with you. And there's always a place to start where we can then reach many heights. Sana, thank you so much for giving us some great words of value and inspiration today. And thank you so much for joining us on the show. And I hope we
My
can tap into you at some further stage during the course of this Youth Month to be able to pen out more things on how we can help our youth out. Thank you so much. You've
Absolutely.
been
Thanks.
phenomenal.
Thanks a lot. Okay. Bye bye.
Take care. Goodbye. That was Yuven Gouden, and he's a transformational life coach, definitely teaching us about how to transform our lives and the lives of youth, especially youth development, which I think is important, especially now during the month of youth. I want to leave you with something. It says, it was written, it's 10 lessons from Albert Einstein, and it says, follow your curiosity. Perseverance is priceless. Focus on the present. Imagination is priceless. Make mistakes. Live in the moment. Create value. Don't expect different results. Knowledge comes from experience. Learn the rules, then play better than anyone else. And I think he couldn't have said that better. It's a lot of food for thought for us to think about for the week going forward and how we can change the quality of our lives and the way we see things and overcome our challenges with a better mindset and a better perspective. For myself and the team, we want to thank you so much for joining us this Thursday on a really inspirational show with myself, Nafisa Dango, and of course, our amazing team. For myself and my team, have an absolutely lovely one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.